Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Marta, and welcome to the introduction to Urban Gardening webinar. I will just tell you a few facts about Urban Creatives Project, which is founded by Youth Included organization. And the aim of the project is to propagate healthy and sustainable living among foreigners in Prague. You can also check our website where we have materials regarding less waste, nutrition, community gardens. We also have a life coaching course, and I will gradually publish some articles about physiotherapy and psychosomatics. And I will give you some tips how you can help yourself if you have some mostly sitting job. We have also launched a mapping tool where you can explore mostly English and eco-friendly places, which are local in Czech Republic. I encourage you to check our website from time to time because we are constantly publish some new materials. All right, I think I will give a word now to our lecturers, Angela and Luis.
Perfect. And thank you, Marta, for the introduction. Well, first, I will present myself. So my name is Angela Waage Campos. I'm Mexican, but I'm living here in Prague since 3 years ago. So why I start this? So practically, I start this thanks to COVID. So everything started last year. In that moment, I had no job. I was in quarantine all the time, and without like any activity to do. I was like literally driving me crazy at home. And then my landlady gave me two plants to take care of, and I had no idea what to do with these two plants. So I asked my brother that also he likes very much like the plants, and he gave me like some good advices about the plants. But at the same time, I started to reading about this. I started to reading about like different things that you can grow at your home. And given that I have like a balcony, I think that it would be like a very good idea to get some seeds and start to planting in my home. And I really love my urban garden. Right now I have two. I have one in my balcony and another in a community garden. And I really like to invite you to this green journey with me. But I don't want to bother you like with all my stories. So if you want to know like more about me, about tips that I used to give on internet, so you can contact me on my social media. It's Nature with Angie. I'm present in all the social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And if you have like any questions about plants, I will be very happy to help you. And now we can speak with Luis. Luis, do you want to present yourself?
Sorry, my name is Luis Monteiro. I'm landscape architect background, so I'm doing gardens and vegetable gardens for clients. And I'm also, one of my biggest hobbies is gardening. So I have my own vegetable garden here in my forest edible garden. And I must say that I collect gardens through the year, not only summer. Not so. It's one of my biggest challenge. Everyone is thinking like that in Czech Republic is not possible to grow vegetables or to have off-the-peak vegetables during the winter, but with certain care and certain techniques is it possible. And also I'm developing some programs for children. At the moment, I'm developing regarding gardening. I'm developing a program at the Portuguese club. So basically, I'll be teaching gardening and vegetable gardening with kids. And my idea is to developing also further for another programs for schools and also workshops for parents and for children, because I believe that we have to start with children because they're going to be our future leaders. So this is basically my background and what I'm doing.
Perfect. Thank you, Luis, for your introduction. So, as Marta said, this webinar is the first one of a series of webinars. And in this one, we will want to give you like some basic principles about how to start or set up like a vegetable or herbal garden in your place in an urban environment. So this leads us to the concept urban gardening. So if you have the doubt about what is urban gardening, so urban gardening is practically to grow like everything that you want in an urban context. So in a city, to make the city a little bit greener. And I also want to share with you this phrase that I really like it. It says that maybe I cannot change the world, but I can change the part that was shared with me. And this is what I'm trying to do right now since last year. So the topics that we will cover today, it will be why gardening, what gardening, where you can gardening, when and how you can gardening. And the first topic, Luis will tell us about it.
So let me just give a short introduction on why gardening. I can say that gardening is important for your health. It is proven that when you spend time outside, and it is known when you do gardening outdoors, it increases the levels of vitamin D in your body, and it helps your body. Gardening is also a low impact physical activity when you do it just on a daily basis, but when it can be a high impact physical activity when you carry heavy pots or when you just push the wheelbarrow full of soil. I can say that sometimes when I spend the entire weekend working on the garden, it's worse. My body hurts me more than if I go to the gym. It's also good for the mental health because there are some studies proving that it decreases the risk of dementia and also fights back this topic, this idea that everyone is speaking more, the natural deficit disorder, which is more and more people, in fact, they have access to nature. So gardening, in fact, it helps people to connect again with nature. It's also important for your mood. So gardening, everyone who does gardening knows that it really helps to feel better when you do gardening. Of course, when you are not forced to do it and when you do it by your own will. And there are already some studies saying that when you are in contact with certain bacteria, that mostly they are in presence in soil, it increases the levels of serotonin in human brain. And serotonin is a chemical. It's a chemical that increases the feeling of happiness and the feeling of well-being. So it's also important to the environment because you are doing gardening, you are planting plants, you are creating a natural environment, and you are planting plants that take CO2 and get back oxygen, and you are also helping the environment in the way that you are helping the pollinators. You know how much important are pollinators nowadays. It's also important for your community and also for your family, for the sense of community. So when you do it with a family, when you do it at home, but also when you do it outdoors and you have neighbors, you share knowledge, you share plants, you share goods. And especially is important when you have in community gardens, when you share the tools, when you share the knowledge, when you all work in one direction. So this is why gardening is so important. And gardening what? Gardening vegetables, gardening herbs, edible flowers and fruits. I can tell you I'm not going to in detail on which vegetables, which herbs, which flowers, which fruits, because we will have a webinar series, and in each webinar, we will speak exactly about these topics. So gardening where we can start on a window. You know that every house has a window. You can start in one week. So it's possible to grow vegetables and herbs. You can start it on a window when it's well planted. It gives a nice aesthetical appealing to the house. It's nice when it's well done, of course, when it doesn't look that you don't care about this. But it also has this advantage because there's a limitation of space. There's light deficit. It's a light deficit, so you will never get the total amount of light that plants needed. So it's also important that you choose the good crop for having in the light, especially if you choose the right window, because mostly you should choose the windows that they are more turned to south than to north. And one of the disadvantages is cross contamination. It means because you are growing mostly plants together in a short space, it means that if one plant is contaminated with some insect or with some bacteria, it can spread to the other ones because they are so really planted together. So one of the topics that I challenge you to if you are into gardening, is it's plant companion, which is you plant certain plants that they like each other and they help each other. So it's one of the things that you should consider when you plant on a window in certain small in a small place spaces.
So now I will speak about the location of the balcony. So you can start also gardening at your balcony or at your terrace. And this is how I started last year. As you can see in the photo, I adapt my space. I had only 3 square meters, and I really managed to put all the plants that I wanted to put over there. And as an advantage over there in the balcony is that practically you can, depending on the size that you have, you can adapt the space, and then you can decide which plants do you want to put it over there in your space. And also another advantage that you have when you start in a balcony is that you will start in containers. So many of the times, like when you hear the word garden, you really imagine like the outside and the soil directly. But you can garden in your balcony, and starting in a container, it's a very good way to do it, because in a container you can control many factors. Some of the factors is that, for example, if the weather is too bad, you can put your plants inside, and you can protect your plants more easily than if you have it in the outside. Another way to control this is that you will have less disease or pests, because you will take care more of the container, because it's not directly at the floor level. So that is a very good point for the plants. And also because you are starting in a balcony, so not too many animals can arrive to your place, to your balcony in the first, second, or third floor, depending where you live. So it's also very, very nice, and it's an advantage to do it in a balcony. But we have also disadvantage, and one of the things is that you will require to water more, because as you can see here in my photo, all the containers are not too big. So that makes you like to have the limitation about the water, and about the water that the plant is retaining. So maybe in a garden you can put water like 2 or 3 times per week, but in a balcony and in a container, you really need to take care of the soil, and you need really to take care about the plants, and you need to water more frequently over there. And also another disadvantage that I see, that starting in a balcony, is that you will have, of course, less production, because you maybe will have only 1 or 2 plants, and it will that will lead you to don't have a lot of production, and also it will lead you to have like less variety. So also another location that we can have over into gardening. So it can be in a garden. And here we have like two interesting topics. So it can be in a private garden or it can be in a community garden. So what are the difference? So practically a private garden is the one that you have at home. Um, but what happened in the big cities as Prague? So we live like in these panel buildings, very, very high, and we don't have gardens. So that's how we start also this very interesting topic of community garden. The advantage to put a garden directly like in the soil is that you will have more space for your plants, um, but at the same time it will require more work. um, and you might question why you require more work is because you really need to prepare like the soil where you are planting. So you see like a garden and you maybe think that, okay, I will put like one plant of tomatoes, but that is not true. If you do it in that way, maybe the plant will die. So the best thing to do is to really prepare the soil in the garden, to make the plant to grow in a healthy environment. So without rocks and without like any strange things in the soil. But in as an advantage that I see also in a community garden is that you can leverage all the things that you have over there. Right now, I'm participating in a community garden in Prague, and I really like it because you only pay like one annual fee, and with this, you can have access to the water, you can have access to free compost, and also you will have access to the tools. So that also like make you to expend less in gardening, and this is very, very good. And as a last advantage that I see over here in a community garden is that you can like grow your network, and this network it will be like with people that really has your own interest. So it's very nice to meet other people that likes the same that you, and also it's very good that sometimes they will give you advices about like how to take care of plants, and you can learn from this.
So one of the slides that I consider here regarding where is the solar radiation already mentioned when we were using the window. So we have to consider that certain cultures, they need more or less light, more or less temperature, and whether you are in the yard, whether you are in the window, or whether you are in the garden. So I can tell you that the majority of the greenies or leafy vegetables, they need less sunlight. So they can grow on shady conditions, in fact, with partial sunlight. And it means that they need 3 to 4 hours of sunlight per day. And medium sunlight, the roots and tuberts, if I'm not okay, beets, carrots, potatoes, and radish. And in comparison, you need tomatoes, pepper, eggplants, squashes, pumpkins. They need a lot of light. So you might choose, I'm not talking about windows, but you might choose the most sunny part of your yard or terrace, or or even from the garden to these cultures. I put here an example of a marquise or a balcony or a window, just to say that the sunlight that cross the window already lose 50% of radiation. It has like a matte glass. It's 45% of sunlight that is refracted. So it means that when you do gardening, when you plant your crops, you have to take in consideration where are they located and the needs of each culture. So if you just have one window turned to the north, so you might consider that the best to plant is the leafy vegetables, the cabbages, the lettuce. But if you have a lot of light, and you might consider already crops like the tomatoes, the peppers, and the eggplants. Containers, as Angela already mentioned, as the advantage and the disadvantage, there are certain materials, and I know that she's going to speak during her presentation on vegetables, but there are materials like clay, porcelain, plastic, wood, and metal. There are advantages and disadvantages for each of them. Clay and porcelain, that take more water. Plastic, it's plastic, as we know about plastic, but of course we can reuse materials. Wood, they tend to degrade quite easily, especially if they are outdoor, and we need to take care of them. So put some material, put some painting on them, of course, especially ecological painting. And metal, they tend to really overheat. It means that they will overheat also the soil. It means the evaporation of water will be higher. So we each of them, they have advantages and disadvantages. Each of them, they are more aesthetical appealing than the other ones. So we have to balance well which material we want to use. And we should consider when choosing the containers, the type of crop and the root depth for each cultivar. And there are different dimensions: 1 liter, 5 liters, 15 liters, 30 liters, or even bigger. And certain certain cultures need more. They need more. Each culture has their own root type. Of course, the roots or the tubers, they need more depth. So it means that they need bigger containers. And the leafy vegetables, they don't need so much depth. For example, or the parsnips or the carrots, they need, because they have a tap root, so it means that they go deep. You need a bigger container.
Yeah, that's right. So now I would like to speak about like the different type of containers like that we can have. Well, of course, all of these you can use it in the window or in the balcony or terrace. As first option, you can buy the containers. There are like many sizes as we will present in the next slices. But also you can reuse all materials. And this practice is, I think that is the best one, because normally when you are starting, you have like little plants that doesn't require like too much space. So you can reuse, like for example, we see over here, like in the right, like different types of containers, like different bottles that you can reuse. You only need to be sure to make like some holes at the bottom, and with this you have like a new container, and you will not spend money on that, and you will be like using something that maybe will go to the garbage and will not be able to like to change in something else, as is the plastic, for example. um, Maybe we can go to the next slide. Yes, so here, so as you can see over here, well, depending like how aesthetic or how much space do you have in your place, you can use like different type of containers. You can, if you have like a limited space at your home, you can use these vertical containers that at the same time looks nice, and it helps you to maintain like a kind of order with your plants. Also, another thing that you can use as a container is the suspended containers. This can be good for some plants that are little ones. With the big ones, of course, it will not be possible for the container to hold the plant. And just a recommendation here, the strawberries looks very nice in a suspended container. So if you want to try it, you can do it. And finally, the other container that we have and that we already mentioned are the beds. So these are like different types of beds that you can have in the terrace or in your garden. Also, these one are called raised beds. So over here, it will be practically like to have like more space and to plant it like in a very like with a better organization of your plants. And then we can go to the next topic. Luis, do you want to talk about the drainage? That is a very, very important topic with the plants.
Yes, one of the aspects that you should consider is really the drainage. I know that there are some pots that they don't have really holes. So if they don't have holes, you should consider to have a draining layer. And normally you can use this expanded clay. But almost can say that it's better to have less water than too much water, because when you have too much water, it means that the roots will get rot, and once they get rot, it's almost impossible to get back to, so that they recover from that. Not almost not impossible, almost impossible. But when they don't have water, so you can see that the plant is struggling. Of course, if you spend so many days without water, the plant will eventually die, will reach the point that is almost impossible to get back to the normal condition. So it's the best is to use holes on the bottom of the container, or if you have a bed, and if you are in a balcony or in a yard, and if you have a raised bed or a bed, it's good to put a layer of draining layer at the bottom. So originally, when I'm doing raised beds for clients, I put a good layer, whether in raised beds or whether in pots, of this expanded clay, and on the top of it, it goes the soil or the substrate. So it's good to consider to have holes, some for drainage, and also have this draining layer to help the drainage and to don't soak all the water, and to help the plants to absorb the water.
And of course, like the question that many people ask me, what can I store in containers? Well, I can say everything. Like literally, well, in my experience, is like that. I don't know if Luis has another experience, but I have grown tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, zucchini, berries, and other plants. And as you can see over here in the pictures, um, it many people told me that it was impossible to grow potatoes in a container and in Prague, but I did it. I used this container of 30 liters, and I just put 2 potatoes, and then after 2.5 months I have my harvest of potatoes. So it's possible, you can do it, and it's a very nice process, like to see the plant growing. And also, as you can see in the photo of the right, you can have like a nice harvest. Even that I have like just 3 square meters in my balcony. Last year, practically every night from August, at the end of of August until October, I was having like different harvests. Tomatoes, Mexican tomatoes, jalapenos, zucchini, also like some strawberries, and also like berries. So literally, you can start growing whatever you prefer in containers, and I really encourage you to do it because it's a very good experience. So now, Luis, can you tell us like our last topic, when to start gardening?
So as we are talking since the beginning, when you can plant or when you can garden, it really depends on the culture. I can say that there are certain cultures that I mean, if you do it indoor, it's more controls. You will have the possibility to have certain cultures that you cannot have outdoor during certain months, during the winter months. But at the same time, as I spoke before, there's the limitation on the sunlight. So, for example, the tomato, is it possible? Of course, is it possible to have tomatoes during the winter? But for ripen, for getting mature, it will be more complicated. Of course, you can have tomatoes during the winter, but it will be necessary to add some extra light to the plants. So you can do it through all year, and so it's important to say that each plant has an optimal, minimal, and maximal value of temperature for each plant for each phase of their life cycle. For example, you know that normally the tomatoes you have it during the summer. So this is the amount of temperatures that they need to be produced the crop. For example, the leafy vegetables or the cabbages, they can resist winter. I can tell you outdoor because this winter all my cabbages they survive outdoor even with minus 15. The garlic they survive the entire winter outside and they get ready for now it will be the crop. So each plant, each phase of their life, they need a certain amount of temperature to get better or to get ripened or to get ready to be harvested.
Yes, now like the last question. So how you can start? So as I already mentioned to you, you can start with seeds or you can start with seedlings. And if you don't know what is a seedlings, well, this is like practically like the little plant that you can get in the nursery or in the garden store. So this plant is already like prepared. It's already like a big one, and I have here like a very nice example. This is a seedling. Well, normally this is like what you get in the garden store. This I didn't get it from the garden store. I grow it from the beginning. So this I grow it from seed, and now it's ready to be uh, transplanted to the garden. It's important that also you choose very well what you really want to plant, depending in the space that you have at home, and also the time that you have like to take care of the plants. And also like if you believe that you are a little bit late, as Luis mentioned, you can really start like in any month to plant. And if you believe that you are too late, also you can get the little plant from the nursery, and you can start from there. So only you need to consider some things, and we make here like a little list about the things that you need to take care of. So it's important to consider the time of germination. So not all the plants will born at the same time. Some will need more time to born, like for example, zucchini plant. I really love like the seeds of zucchini because they are so fast. So I literally can put like one today, and in 3 days I will have like the little baby plant. So it really depends in the plant and the time that it takes to born. Another thing to consider is the conditions to plant. So you can plant directly in soil, or you can use another methods that Luis can tell us a little bit about these other methods to grow. And also it's important the deepness. So some of the seeds will need only 1 centimeter. And other ones will require like until 4. So you really need to take care of this because it's important that you follow like the conditions to have like the plan. And don't worry too much about this, all the things that I'm saying right now, because if you go to a nursery or to a garden store and get like package of seeds, over there normally it's always the information about like how deep you need to plant, like how many days you will need. And also another thing to consider that it will be in the package is the temperature conditions or the month that you need to start planting. For example, here in Prague, obviously we have like different seasons, so all the package of the seeds are adapted to that. And if not, as Luis mentioned, you can always start in other month, but with different techniques. And last, also, it's important like the water. How much water do you put to your plant? It will not be the same the water that a tomato plant will require than a potato plant. For example, a potato plant, they really hate the water, so you need to water them just once per week, and that is amazing. So with this, I would like to go to the next slide. I would like to ask you this. So, do you want to create a big impact? I really encourage you to start today to start gardening. It's a very good experience. And if you try it, you will see like the difference that you will make to yourself and to your community. So thank you everyone. This is the end of the topics of today. If you have like any questions, you can find me, as I already mentioned, in my social media with the name Nature with Angie. And also here is the email of Luis. Also, if you have like some questions for him, you can reach him through email.
Thank you,
So
guys.
thank you. So now
Thank you.
can we go to the Q&A?
Yeah.
The next slide. So practically, if you have like any questions, you can put it in the chat, and then Luis and I will try. We will try to answer you.
There is one already.
Okay, I will make this question, and maybe Luis can help us to answer. So, have you had any trouble with mosquitoes? I recently installed a plant inside my house, and I have this issue. Which advice can you tell us, Luis?
So sorry again, I cannot see the question, and the question is.
Yeah, the question is, have you had any trouble with mosquitoes? This person recently installed a plant inside the house and is having this issue with the mosquitoes.
Yes, you know, I had some problem with mosquitoes. Sometimes they appear. Even now with the seedlings, I can say that I started my seedlings indoors. I always started because it's complicated to do it outside. You would have to use a hotbed or another artificial uh, artificial warming mat. But yes, I had issues with the mosquitoes. But and this is one of the things that I mentioned, that they tend to spread and to use the wetness of very controlled. So inside it's warm, and we water the seedlings or the plants, and they tend to replicate. But I don't. For the plants, is not a big. It's not a very big issue in my opinion. It's more for our housing. And so, but I had problems with mosquitoes. I don't know if the question is what to do with it.
Yeah, it's more like if you have it. And I can answer that one. I also have that problem with all my plants. And if you want, if you would like to hear like one technique, I'm using neem oil, and I'm spraying this in the night, so that can help me to remove the mosquitoes. And I don't know, Luis, if you have like another technique to
I
avoid
tend
the
to do.
mosquitoes.
I tend to do. What's that? Vinegar traps. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, they are attracted by for vinegar. What's that?
Yes,
And
yes. You can put it like in a container, no? I tried
yeah,
that one.
close to the containers, and they tend
Uh-huh.
to be attracted to that. And of course, I normally reuse the bottle upside down, and I put the vinegar so they can enter and they will not get out from there. That's the technique I'm using, basically to attract the mosquitoes. But the mosquitoes, yes, they appear. They tend to appear because of the conditions, the wetness and the heat, of what we have indoors.
Yeah, thank you. Perfect. I don't know if someone else has another questions regarding the presentation or another topic about that you have regarding gardening.
You write the name of this oil in the chat so we can see. This
Yes, of
neem oil.
course. Neem oil is called, and it's supposed to be the most natural thing to help the plants, and it can help to many pests. And I have tried last year also with some pest that I had in some plants, and before the pest spread into the others, because as you see, I have like reduced the space in my balcony. I spread this neem oil for 2 days in the night, and after that, like the disease, or the pest was over.
If you don't have questions now, or if you remember any questions or any topic that you would like to talk, please feel free to write us an email or Facebook, and we will answer. We will be happy to answer, because this is a topic close to our heart.
Yes, totally. So I don't see like any other question coming. So maybe we can talk, Marta, about the next webinars that we will have.
Yeah. So could you change the slide, because you have it there, yeah? Yeah, so we plan to have 3 more webinars, and Luis will present edible flowers and aromatic medicinal plants. And it's already scheduled for 24th June at 8 p.m. And then Angie will have our urban vegetable garden. Do you want to say something about this?
Well, I hope that everyone is interested in these topics. If you like more one or the other one, you can connect to the webinar. Luis and I, we will prepare it. Very happy these topics. If you have like any about or like any topic that you want me to cover, I will make the best to put it in the next presentation, in the next webinar, so you will have your answer covered. And also I see another question about the hortensias. I don't know, Luis, if you have experience like how to take care of the hortensias, because it's more like flowers and I don't have like too much experience with flowers.
Can you tell me again the question, please?
Yes, like how we need to take care of hortensias. So it's a flower.
Hortensia.
Yeah.
And the flower is outdoor, right?
I
mean,
guess so.
Is
Is this flower for outdoors or for inside?
normally the flower hortensia, I have hortensias outdoor, and the care, you know that normally they like shadow, they are tolerant to shadow. So in fact, in my garden, I had one located mostly on sun, and it was not doing well. So I relocated to a more shady, partial shady corner, and it's doing better. So in fact, and then when I'm choosing plants for clients that they have some corner or they have some beds, they are partially in shadow. So I choose hortensias, meaning that the hortensias normally they like shadow, and also they tend to like more acid soil. So they are a little bit, so it's good to add some raschelina or mix. So I do a mix between the substrate and raschelina, which is peat. Yeah, peat. Raschelina is peat. And this also will influence the color, if it's the color of the blooming.
Yeah, sure. I remember that I had I tried it with hortensias and with azaleas, and I remember that part that these flowers really requires like an acid soil in order to grow. And also, as far as I know, when they bloom, it's not this like doesn't last like too long, right?
Your question again? Sorry.
Yes, when the hortensias bloom, when they have flowers, if I'm not mistaken, this doesn't last like too much, no?
They can last too much. I can
Yeah?
tell you that they are very famous. They are very famous in Azores. This is one of Azores Islands, is Portuguese islands. and they are quite the ex-libris of the islands, even though they are not native from there. And I can tell you that they are, at least in that conditions, again, okay, it's a combination between warm weather and not always sunny with a lot of rain, so they really thrive in that conditions. So I might say that hortensias are not fully sun, or they do better when it's partial shade than when it's full sun.
Okay.
But not completely in shady corners, so partially sun.
And what about the watering about the hortensias?
Pardon?
What about the watering? Like how much water they require?
The water, regular, not much, not less. I mean, I admit I don't care that much about the hortensias. They are in the garden, they thrive with the other plants, but they are not the type of plant that require the most of care in my garden, at least.
Perfect.
And I just 2 weeks ago I did a garden for a client, and I chose a climbing hydrangea. And with the last conditions, but because it was raining a lot, the plant was just growing perfectly. Of course, now it will suffer a bit because it went from 8 to 80. So it means that it went from chilly conditions to and a lot of rain to very warm. So I think now it will be necessary to water quite regularly, otherwise it will suffer. But the care, it's average. It's not the most careful that you do need to care a lot about hortensias, at least from my experience.
Perfect. Yes, and I'm asking you because
but it's beautiful plant with a lot of
cultivars,
with a lot of varieties. You have climbing hortensias, but they climb a lot and they have beautiful flowers. So it's very nice plant.
Yes, totally. And well, this is the last slide and the last topic that we have on our presentation. I don't know if someone else has another question that would like to ask us right now. I don't see any questions coming. So maybe we can go to the last slide. This is practically all the credits. I really thank you to Urban Creatives Project to give us this opportunity to spread the word about the gardening. And I really hope that the people that connect or the people that will see this webinar recording, it will be very happy with this topic and it will start to growing something at home. Thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you, guys. It was really useful knowledge. Maybe I will use it. Thank you.
If you have a question, Marta, just send me a message.
Yeah, I will. And see you at the on the other webinars.
Yes, of course.
Thank you. Any question you might have, just write us, please.
Yes. Over there is the contact of Luis, my contact. We will share these contacts also in the event. So if you want to raise a questions to us, feel free.
Yeah, and we will publish this webinar on the Urban Creatives website as well.
Yes,
okay.
Of course.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.